What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keith Osment podcast. I am Katie in the studio here today with Keith. How's it going, Keith?
It's going. I was just telling you a few minutes ago that I'm slap wore out.
Yeah, the photo shoot, right?
Yeah, like who would and never would imagine in a million years that I would have like had my tail whooped from a photo shoot.
Holding the dumbbells for so long, right? And
Just so many
push-ups.
reps of push-ups and dumbbells. Like my back is sore, my biceps are like fried.
I can't
It's
wait
crazy.
to see the photos, though. Just
Yeah.
remember, it's a memory of posing in bodybuilding
Yeah,
for me.
that's it. That's
But
it.
today, we're going to talk about the newbie gains, how to go from newbie gains to the next level, and
That's right.
the beginner's journey in the gym. So I'm really excited about this topic today. We're excited you guys are with us. I remember being a newbie.
Me too.
It was
Let's talk about that for a second. What was where was you at? Was you at a gym, a home? When was your first like time working out in that first phase?
I remember doing weight training in high school, and
Yeah.
liking it, but as the public school coaches, like sometimes they're
Yeah,
a little
that's
crazy
right.
with it. But I actually got into fitness in Zumba, and
Oh, wow.
from there I kind of advanced into the gym. But I remember being somebody who did like 3 sets of 15, and did all the
Yeah.
crunches in the world. So I remember what it was like to be a newbie, and there's a lot of things you can take advantage of as a newbie. But do you remember going to the gym for the first time?
Yeah, so I mean, technically, I guess my first time weight training would have been in high school during like weight training block.
Yeah,
But,
like your
you know,
elective.
Yeah, but like honestly, I don't think there was too much structure with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't learn a lot of skills.
No, I mean it was.
I
Just,
knew I liked it,
Yeah,
but
like the teacher was just kind of like it was time. It was a I think it was a period for him just to kind of goof off.
Yeah.
because he didn't really monitor us.
yeah, you'd have to go run a mile every now and then. Or
Right,
something.
yeah, like which you looking back, I'm like that was probably pretty dangerous for us to all be in a room like just lifting weights and
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, there wasn't no structure for that for me. It wasn't until I joined the Rome Health Spa when I was like 16 years old. My dad had to co-sign because I was under 18.
Nice.
That was when I first got into like a really good environment with other bodybuilders. At the time, in the late 90s, I joined the Rome Health Spa in '99. That was my area's only gym. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the place to be.
Yeah.
And I remember the newbie gains is what we're going to talk about, coming on pretty strong. As a matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, for like the first 3 or 4 years, I had the most vivid stretch mark on my tie-in under my armpit, where my pec muscle had grew so fast and rapidly.
Yes.
That it caused a purple, like a stretch mark. It was purple in color
Got a battle scar for real.
it was there for like probably 6 or 7 years now. You could probably still see it. It's just more
Faded out.
Faded. The color's gone. So
I gotcha.
that was crazy.
I think that's something to speak on too. I know that a lot of the structure in my early days was not necessarily right,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still able to I still had a lot of success because I was a newbie. So
Right.
even without the structured program I do now, I was able to do a lot of things with just being a newbie and just going and working out. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that the newbie should take advantage of. And honestly, I envy the newbie at this point because what a dream to be able to put on muscle mass and lose body fat at the same time. What a dream to just be able to go in there and lift weights. However, I mean, obviously you
Yeah.
need to have good form, but with no like cohesive program, still see a lot of success. Like I envy that.
Yeah, I mean, I look back and like I didn't follow a program, or I didn't even use a workout journal when I first started, or anything like that.
I believed in muscle confusion.
It was just go work out hard. Like,
Yeah.
I was, at the time, and I'm so grateful for workout partners. I think that whole first few years I had a partner, and
Yeah.
that you fed off each other, and you were able to kind of spot each other and crank out a few more reps. I mean, for me, as a newbie, it was rooted in kind of the bodybuilding bro split, and
Yeah.
it was trained to failure.
Yeah.
With and plus some, like it was fail on my part, and then my partner made me do 2 or 3 more forced reps.
Yeah.
That
that
was-
was fun though. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot of leg days where we were both sick, like, and I'm saying I don't want to scare. I don't think you have to be at this
No.
intensity, but I'm just saying that was my journey. And,
Yeah.
we pushed it hard there. I think, and I'm forever grateful for how I got started, and it was so interwound with the bodybuilding type atmosphere and,
Yeah.
and programming, and everything was stemmed from muscle magazines and
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's book of bodybuilding encyclopedia and all that. So it was cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing trash cans around the
Yeah.
gym, like near the squat racks and stuff, because that's how
Yeah.
people trained. It was like always super intense. The bodybuilding community was big when I got into it. I remember that was when I heard about the Roman Classic. So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be like that. But
No.
just to stay, we were
Right.
newbies at one point. We did go into the gym for the first time. We have been there before, but I think this episode is really important for people who are transitioning from the newbie stage to being somebody who is thinking more long term. You're more advanced.
Yeah.
Say you've hit a plateau. I think this will be a great episode for you too. But what do you consider to be a beginner, a newbie? What is that to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're brand new. You haven't either you haven't even started yet, or you're just a few months in. I consider you a newbie. I mean, I honestly think you can take advantage of newbie gains for like the first year.
Agreed on that. But just
Yeah.
being new to a structured program or just it's resistance training in general.
Yeah.
Maybe you're somebody who's lifted inconsistently over time, or you've just been in the gym. I would say under a year.
Right.
You
yeah.
can still take advantage. I see people take advantage of the newbie stage for at least a year. I would say.
Yeah.
But you're still kind of in the development of the fundamental movements.
And that's a question that I'll get asked often. Often is somebody will ask me. Let me make sure I word this right. They'll ask me, is it possible to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? And my question to them is, how long have you been weight training consistently?
That's always
And
my first question.
Consistently is the key word too, because I don't want this whole, for 5 years, but I've been in and out. No, I don't want that. I need to know, how long have you been training consistently, like in the gym, 3 days, 4 days a week, like legit. And then they'll say, if it's like that, then I've only been doing it for like 6 months. I've been back at it for 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so for you, it is still possible to
Yes.
put on muscle and lose body fat at the same
Yes.
time.
And that is what I envy the most, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's not something typical for me and you. We
Yeah.
have to decide and give our body the best environment to do one or the other. But something, if you're a gym newbie, you probably are somebody who experiences a little bit of intimidation by the gym, a little bit of
Yeah,
gym anxiety, feeling like you got information overload. I feel like we talk on that subject all the time. It's just how much information's out there. If you're overloaded by that, you're probably a newbie. If you don't know good form, you're probably a newbie. And if
Yeah.
you feel like your progress should be faster, you're probably a newbie.
So speaking of this, before we move on to the next one, like what tips can we give a newbie to get over some of that, gym fear and anxiety? So it comes from different angles. It comes from just, a lot of people don't even want to go to the gym because they're afraid of what others are going to think about them. They think that everybody's looking at them.
Yes.
And, I think you'll agree that that's not the case. I think you think people care more than they really do.
A lot of people just live in their own world. I mean,
At
think
the
about
gym,
yourself.
You're right. You're on your phone. You're
Yeah.
not really looking at people.
And think about yourself in the gym. Are you watching other people? Probably not. A lot of the people really don't pay attention to anything other than what's going on with them. I mean, now
Right.
obviously, if I see somebody that's about to hurt themselves, I will go to that. But like nobody's there to judge you because most people are just there in their own world anyway.
True.
And they probably don't even notice you. I mean,
No.
they probably notice you're there, but they're not paying attention to what you're doing most of
Yeah.
the time. I know when I see people come in the gym, I've seen a lot of newbies lately. I'm just like really
Yeah.
happy that they're there, But the intimidation and anxiety, I think, just remembering that you are a newbie and you can take a lot of advantage
Yeah.
of that, I think that should help you push through because there are a lot of advantages to being a newbie. So
Yeah.
maybe that could help.
No.
But I do see the gym anxiety a lot with my clients.
Yeah, another tip on that would be, and actually, I actually saw this play out. Me and Allie both did with a person at our gym. So we noticed a new face, and all he would do was come in and just hop on the cardio equipment. I mean, that's all he would do. He'd come straight in with his head down, maybe like with a hoodie on, and he would just jump on the treadmill for like, sometimes it was like 10 minutes, sometimes it was 20, but then he would just leave. He would
Yeah.
just bolt.
Yeah.
And we saw that, and then next thing you know, after about a month, he's like coming in with his hoodie off.
Yeah.
And he's kind of coming out of his shell a little bit more, and he's
Yes.
hopping on the treadmill, and he's like looking around, and you can kind of see him like gazing. All right, he does that for like a month. Next thing you know, like month number 3, he's like out on the gym floor, like doing some
Yeah.
exercises. And what he did, and we noticed what he did there. I think Allie actually approached him and asked him about this. He said that he was so nervous being in a gym environment that all he knew to do was just show up on the treadmill and then just kind of get used to the environment and just
Yeah.
let that be an opportunity to kind of scan around and just
Yeah.
get used to the environment.
That's a great idea.
And yeah, you could totally do that.
Yeah, get your toes wet. It doesn't have to be all or nothing right off the rip. If you're somebody
Yeah.
who's a little intimidated, go and do some cardio. Like, go just, if you want to hang out in the corner for a little while.
Yeah, it's like when I used to be like shy with girls, I'd go to the nightclub and stand in the corner, and just like watch the dance floor.
Yeah.
And then when the time got right,
There you go.
I'd ease on out there and start doing the, like, I don't even know what it was back then.
The cha-cha slide.
Cha-cha, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Just I think about like employment and everything. You have to get used to your environment,
Yeah.
So like if it's baby steps and you're just getting your toes wet, you're going in for 10
Yeah.
minutes of cardio and establishing a routine. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I think the information overload can cause a lot of anxiety too.
For sure. And then one more tip on that is maybe just honestly for the first month, or not even the first month, just for a few times the sessions, hire a personal trainer.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of a personal trainer.
Yes.
Budget for that. Like, yeah, okay, you got this cool membership now, but how cool would it be to have another human
Yeah.
just take you out on the floor and
Yeah.
show you around? Hey, this is what this machine does. And
Yes.
then, like, let you go through the motions. And like, not only is that a person to just kind of help you bridge that gap between your, your not confident self to where you want to be, but like, also there's a safety aspect to it also, making sure you're not going to hurt yourself. And
Yes. And I know for myself as a personal trainer, I'm very
Yeah.
friendly with all the members, so it's even bridging the gap for you to meet new people. And most of the time, the people at the gym are really cool and really
Yeah.
nice. So I think just bridging that gap to get you in the gym. I see that a lot with my clients. I'll write them
Yeah.
a program. They come see me one day a week, still go to the gym the other days. I've had people tell me that they actually love coming to the gym. They love
Yeah.
our sessions,
Yeah.
but they've fallen in love with going to the gym because they feel more confident
Right.
in their lift. So definitely a personal trainer is always a good idea. Even if
sure.
it's just for a few sessions.
Right. Yeah, I would. If I was brand new and was really that intimidated, I would probably budget for a personal trainer for the first month or two at least.
Once I was, more advanced, I did
Yeah.
get with a trainer
For
in the
sure.
beginning. Outside of Zumba, once I moved to my first gym where I was there for a while, like
Yeah.
I had a trainer. He taught me everything, So a lot of the stuff a little outdated, but
Yeah.
I
Oh,
learned
yeah.
a lot. So
For sure.
I got more comfortable in the gym.
Yeah. All right, what you got next?
Newbie Gains.
Yeah.
I love talking about Newbie Gains because there is so much you can take advantage of as a newbie in the gym. So, Newbie Gains, rapid improvements in strength, coordination, and muscle growth in the first 6 to 12 months of training. I would say
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
Often more dramatic than any other phase. That's why you need
True.
to go to the gym, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it doesn't have to be some cohesive, crazy program. I mean, you can go in there and do, just the exercises you like
Right.
that you know to do
Yep.
and probably see a lot of success that way. So they happen because of neural adaptations. Your nervous system gets better at the movements, increased muscle protein synthesis sensitivity, and a low training threshold. You don't need complicated programming, and it's just because your body, you haven't done this before, so
Right.
your body's like, wow. So
Everything, yeah.
everything is a shock to it, and
It's a
it all
stimulus.
starts really, really quickly. How to make the most of the Newbie Gains is to focus on consistency, keep going consistently, focus on the basics, and focus on your recovery, and then just trying to get stronger. Like if you can check those boxes as a newbie, you could like advance so quickly, and just don't overcomplicate it.
And this is how simple it can be. I have a guy one time asked me, he goes, look, there's so much gym equipment, I don't know where to start. It's so overwhelming. And I said, do you feel pretty confident on machines? And most newbies are going to love machines.
Yes.
So I said, look, I don't really care. It's 3 days a week. Go start at a machine, because a lot of times they're lined up.
Yes.
I said, do 5 machines, 3 sets on each machine, and just call it a circuit.
Yes.
I said, you do that 3 days a week. And I said, come back and let me know how it goes. So, man, he came back like 4 months later and was like, dude, that was a simple way to simplify it. I'd just find me a machine and just go down the line. He said it might be a back, it might be biceps. There was no rhyme or reason to it, really. And like what you just said, it don't have to be all kind of dialed in programming at the beginning.
No,
You're just
and-
creating that stimulus.
Yes, you just
know.
need the stimulus, and I envy this stage because you could really take advantage of this stage.
Yeah.
Whether it's somebody who, if you did stick to some sort of program and tried to progressively overload yourself, or just focus on the basic compounds, a couple machines,
Yeah.
like this consistency is the winner here. So just keep going and try to get a little stronger each time.
All right. How do we evolve? Like, how do you know when it's time to kind of like step up? Like, is this something that you just know? Like, here's your sign, or what do you think? What's some clues here? Like,
I
when you
don't
need to
know.
evolve?
I don't know where I transitioned into the more advanced stages. I can't say for sure, so I'm sure you can't either. But
No.
what you'll see is that your progress starts to slow down a little bit. You kind of maybe plateau in strength or size. You've learned proper form, and you don't really feel lost anymore. You're more confident in your lifting, and you maybe are sticking to a program and tracking your workouts more intentionally. Your mindset shifted probably. You're thinking more long term versus the short term.
Yeah.
Whereas the newbie comes in, maybe they want to lose 20 pounds. That's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
more of a short term goal. This is the person that's not a newbie anymore is somebody who is thinking about lifestyle and it being a part
Yeah.
of their life forever. So you're training for performance, strength, physique, etc.
Yeah.
You have
Longevity. Yep.
specific goals. So that would be where you've shifted into a more advanced lifter who might need a little tailoring.
For sure. And I don't know. I feel like if you've been consistently hitting it for at least a year, you might be getting pretty close
Yeah.
to that spot where if you've been really really weight training consistently for a year ish, and you're like you want more.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I love how my journey so far, but I want to level up as far as strength or aesthetics. I think at that point it's probably going to take some dialing in some areas. You probably are not going to be able to keep doing what you're doing
Yeah,
to
you
get
need
where you want
to.
to be.
You can probably keep doing a lot of the same things you're doing, but it's going to have to be on a more intentional basis, I would say.
Yeah,
I would say just thinking more of how to get stronger over time in certain movements that are more cohesive. So, as a newbie, you could go in there and do shoulders and legs and do
yeah,
a
yeah.
bunch of different, just a full body workout.
Grab bag. Yeah,
And this you could probably tailor to see more success since you've plateaued. You know what I mean?
yeah. And
Um,
not only does it need to like probably change slightly with your training, but also nutrition standpoint too. I
oh
mean, at
yeah.
some point, because
Oh yeah, I think with nutrition, just cleaning up your diet in general in the beginning is a great
for
idea.
sure,
But as you're going into it, you should be trying to be more intentional, trying to eat more whole foods, really
yeah,
focusing on your protein, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, macros are going to play a big role into my physique at this point, and training and all of those gears together. So I think just. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, dude.
no,
I'm not gonna lie. You can
it's
edit this, right?
yeah,
That's why I try not
it's
to.
all good. But no, like I would never have a conversation with like a newbie on like specifically like pre, intra, and post workout nutrition protocols.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I wouldn't want them like crushing a hard to them workout like on an empty stomach, like weight training wise. I mean, but usually I'm not having a conversation with somebody unless they're a little bit more advanced about specific
Yeah,
plugging in some like pre and intra and post workout parameters,
manipulating the food.
supplements and food and certain stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's where you're getting a little bit more advanced past the newbie stuff.
Yes, and I think you have to get to a point where you're dialing your nutrition a little bit more. Your programming is more cohesive, makes more sense. Where somebody could go in there and just do any machines as a newbie. Like I would tell an advanced lifter to front load their compounds, and
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's a more specific way to do it at that point. But as a
Yeah.
newbie, you can just do it. Just do it.
Right.
But
Yep.
if you've gotten into the stage where you are more advanced, I do think that you could use more strategy to see
Yes.
more success. So, progressive overload. I'm not really somebody who's big into deloads. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think
You
we
see
should
that
take
a
a
lot.
break if you feel like you need a break. I'm not somebody who
You see
deloads.
that a lot more like powerlifting.
Yeah, which
But
would make sense when it gets more scientific like that. But as just somebody who goes to the gym, 3 or 4 days a week, unless
yeah.
your body tells you that you need a break, I really am not somebody who thinks deloads are necessary.
Yeah, to me, if you're implementing the right recovery, strategies and right programming frequency and stuff, and eating correct, I'm like you. I agree with you. You shouldn't need to program a lot of deloads.
No. But as far as the strategy, addressing weaker points, like maybe you want bigger calves, like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean? But you cannot do 3 sets of 10 on squats at 185 pounds forever and think that you are going to grow. There has to be some sort of stimulation and going
Yeah.
farther with that. So maybe you're doing 4 sets of 10, or you're doing 3 sets of 8 with a heavier weight. Just always going in there with the intention of doing something more than you did the week before. That would change a lot
Yeah,
for
and that's
you.
that's where using a workout journal or an app can really be beneficial, because unless you just got like a really really good memory, like you probably can't remember exactly how many reps and how much weight you used last week on a particular exercise.
That's where I saw myself really start to advance, was when I started tracking
Yeah,
my workouts and started focusing on going heavier each week or doing more reps each week. It can look different. Progressive overload can be a different thing, every week, whether you're doing more reps or you're doing more weight. I'm somebody who's
true.
going to do more weight.
Yeah,
But that's really where I saw the most improvement and the most advancement in
yeah,
my fitness journey, was when I started tracking my workouts. But along with, making sure my nutrition was in line.
right.
I
Yeah,
was recovering better, trying to recover better, taking more, time between my sessions, and then just keeping the intensity in the sessions.
and I know this works because my first time ever having experience like really tracking my lifts, honestly, because I didn't track my lifts up until probably like, gosh, 4 years ago. I started work. I got into a phase where I wanted to do powerlifting, and I got with a powerlifting coach,
I remember those days.
Shane Hunt,
Yeah.
and he sent over like a spreadsheet style, had the exercise and had blanks where I could write in the reps and how much weight I use, and I just take a picture of it and send email back to him. He was kind of old school. You kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of you, because you do a lot of in Excel and
I do a
spreadsheet.
lot of old school stuff.
No, that's fine. That's beautiful. But I saw that work like with me, where it's like I knew going into it I was already pretty strong, right? Like
Yeah.
I knew I could toss around some weight, but I wanted to level up. So I see what was happening there just playing out in front of me. Like I would log it, and then of course the next week sometimes he might only have me jump up like 2.5 pounds,
They can be the heaviest ones in the gym.
4 pounds for like 5 reps or
Yeah.
whatever. But and I just kept doing it, trusting the process. I've always been like a higher rep, burnout, like superset, freak. So for me just to do 5 reps, on a certain exercise, like 5x5 or something like
Yeah.
deadlifts, it was weird, but I saw it working. Like
Yeah.
month over month, I was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I was like, holy cow, like I could have kept training quote quote hard, all on my own, and probably you still would have been happy. Like I had a decent physique, but I saw this playing out where if you really are in tune with the numbers,
Yeah.
you can really start building some new muscle tissue and hitting some PRs, and a lot of times strength is a reflection of new muscle.
Yeah, and your muscles adapt over time too. So
Yeah,
it's always important to create that stimulus and try to be doing more, because your muscles are like, oh gosh, that was really heavy.
yeah,
I need some more fibers for that.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree with that. You constantly need to be in the pursuit of going
yeah.
heavier,
So
or in some way doing more in the gym on a weekly
So
basis.
yeah, if you're a newbie, like if you've been training under a year, now if you want to go ahead and start tracking your lifts, by no means, we're not saying that just because you're a newbie you don't need to, like, we're not discouraging you to track and use an app or a spreadsheet, but like just know that if you've been training for like a year and you're wanting more, you have a desire to level up, that might be a good time to go ahead and break out like a workout journal, or there's a million apps out there you
There's
can
so
use.
many things you can do. I think our point with the newbie thing is just that it doesn't take a lot of like
Yeah,
intention in the beginning. Just go in there and work out.
right.
But if you do put some intention behind it as a
Oh my
newbie,
gosh.
boom, you're gonna just skyrocket
That's what
into
happened to
even
me.
more.
Yeah, you end up
Yeah, you're gonna just
exploding.
set yourself up
Yeah,
for even more success. So we're not telling the newbie not to track their workouts. We're
yeah,
just saying, if you're somebody who's intimidated by it, it doesn't have to be super overcomplicated, but you can take it to the next level by tracking your workouts for sure.
for sure.
Absolutely. Um, I see this a lot, and you actually saying that you do higher rep things, this made me think of that, like the overtraining thing.
Yeah.
That's something I absolutely did in the beginning. I absolutely overtrained. I was doing, 4 sets of 25,
Goodness.
3 days a week, and I was going heavy, and so
Yeah.
I was definitely overtraining. I could have seen a lot more success had I like taken
Yeah.
proper recovery time in between. I was just trying to go too hard in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And as far as the nutrition component, I mean, to elaborate on that, like I think all things in the beginning for a newbie is just cleaning things up, trying to squeeze in an extra protein shake, just lower hanging fruit stuff. A lot of times it's just making smarter choices. That's really all it takes to get the ball rolling that first 6 months to a year. But once you get past that year mark, like I always say, if you have a desire to improve even more, then this is where you probably need to get with you need to get a couple of things come to mind. You can either, if your town has a local body composition scale, go get that done and learn your maintenance calories.
Yes.
Might be a good time to go ahead and start spot checking where you're at calorically, because it's going to be very, very hard to keep putting on new muscle if you're in a extreme calorie deficit.
Yes.
Or really a big calorie deficit in general at that point. If you've already used all your newbie gains that first year, it's probably going to be very challenging for you to put on any more muscle unless you start implementing a little bit more calories at some point.
I definitely agree with that.
And then try to find maintenance calories, and the way you can do that is either find a body composition scale like the Evol 360 over at Spartan Smoothies. That can tell you your maintenance calories. And don't be scared to work there for a while. There needs to be certain phases of your fitness and nutrition journey where you're going through cuts, and then you're working more towards maintenance to build new muscle tissue.
Yes.
Or if you don't have access to a body composition scale, we'll drop a few links in this podcast description with some online calculators where you can try to get your maintenance calories. And that's definitely something that I think everybody needs to have some awareness on, is where your maintenance calories are.
Yeah, because you can do so many different things. If you're wanting to lean out for the summer, you know where your maintenance is. And the good thing about your maintenance calories is that if you try to build more muscle, it's going to keep going up, and then you'll be able to eat more. And then the next summer rolls around, the cut happens, you can eat even more then.
Yes.
So that's the good thing about knowing your maintenance calories. That's definitely something you need to know, and that's something you need be more conscious about as you go and continue along your journey. So, you can just clean up your diet in the beginning and probably see a lot of success. But as you get into it, you need to really understand what your maintenance calories is and how you can distribute the macros within that.
Because I see a lot of people will be like let's just say an overweight person. They'll be really overweight. They'll obviously go into a calorie deficit through whatever vehicle or strategy they want to do. They'll lose the weight, and they'll be weight training, and they'll use up all those newbie gains. But here's what happens. They'll kind of stay stuck in this certain gear forever. They'll keep working out, but their body composition just won't hardly ever change anymore, because they're still stuck in that old mindset of I'm a big person. I need to be constantly in a year-round calorie deficit. I got to watch what I eat. Everything's low carb.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. You're still stuck in your old identity. You need to, at some point, flip the script, and say, all right, that was my old self. I've already stripped off a lot of the fat. Now it's time to stop thinking like an overweight, calorie deficit person, and start reversing, start building. So flip your mindset and all right, let's stop worrying about the scale and body fat for a change. Let's start tracking strength and muscle.
Yeah.
For a phase.
You probably really like what happened when you did that too.
Yeah. So once you flip that, I've seen a lot of people turn the curve, and get some good momentum going. If they just change their mindset and be like, all right, yeah, I used to be overweight and fat, and I used to be focused just on calorie deficit and low carb and watching my calories and calorie restriction and cardio all the time. All right, I've lost 60 pounds now, 80 pounds now. Now it's time to stop thinking like that, and we're going to start tracking skeletal muscle through either, body composition scanner, measurements, progress pictures, and just know that the scale is going to do some crazy stuff there a while, but that's okay. You're not in a fat loss phase right now. You're going to go through about a 4 or 6 month or even a year period where you're focused on building new skeletal muscle, working closer to maintenance calories.
Yes, that's the fun part.
Yes,
in the gym.
I love
where you
that.
get real strong. We love that part in the gym.
Yeah.
But I would say, just tracking more things as you get into it. It's really, even as somebody who is not brand new to the gym, it's really not super overcomplicated, anyway.
So what's some common mistakes?
That's where I was trying to jump to earlier because I'm excited to talk about it.
No,
Overtraining, because I was that person. I overtrained a lot, or I, did too advanced of a program. I can't say that was me in the beginning, but say you're somebody who is new to the gym, you're not going to be a powerlifter or bodybuilder right off the rip. So jumping into those advanced programs might be something that burns you out in the beginning.
For sure.
Neglecting the basics. I see this all the time. You see it on Instagram.
Yeah.
We talk about this a lot. The gimmicky Instagram workouts, all these crazy
Oh my
things.
gosh.
I've seen some crazy stuff on the gram. But honestly, it's the basics that work for people.
Yeah.
They have always worked for people. You see people like Arnold, who you referenced earlier.
Yes,
He's doing the basic
Just
movements,
basic stuff.
know, it's very basic in the gym. That's what is so great about it is, you know, it can be just 4 or 5 or 6 just really basic movements, and you can see a lot of success that way.
If you had to, let's just talk about it for a second. So, like, let's pick. What do you consider? If you had to pick one or two basic movements for each muscle group, what would it be? So, like, if you're talking about legs, if you only had to pick two exercises to do for legs that keep it basic and simple without getting too gimmicky and Instagrammy, what would those be? I know it's gonna be hard to pick because you love them all.
I would be doing a seated hamstring curl and a seated extension
There you go.
in the beginning. And if I was to train for chest, I'd be doing some sort of fly and
Yeah.
maybe a press.
Yep.
Shoulders, I'd be doing some sort of side lateral raise and a press again.
Yep.
What am I missing? Back, I'd be doing at least a low row and a
Yep.
lat pull down.
Yeah.
That's just very basic.
Yeah.
It's
Same.
very basic.
Yep, and that's yeah, you're exactly right. Like even if you are weary of like the dumbbells, they have machines, like machine chest presses. You
And
can use
machines
them
are
flies.
machines are so great because
They
they
are.
help you focus just on that muscle
Yeah,
group.
not-
So like where you're getting the dumbbells, you're gonna recruit more core to stabilize yourself. So machines are awesome.
There's nothing wrong with machines. Like people, I think a lot of advanced people look down on machines.
I
thinking
love
it's, like,
machines.
for beginners. No, I love machines because it takes some of the human error out as far as the
Yeah.
form. It is, I guess, it is technically safer.
Yeah.
If you want to push yourself to failure.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about like causing a scene or breaking some mirrors or whatever.
I'm a religious like pec deck user,
Yeah.
like religious. A lot of my chest stuff is done on machines. I mean, I do chest and shoulders together. I like some dumbbell work, but I use a lot of machine stuff
Yeah.
regularly.
As a matter of fact, on Dean Street in Rome, Nautilus. I mean, machines used to be the thing. Like, as a matter of fact, if you talk to some of the old school bodybuilders from around here, that there was like a gym that opened up brand new in like the 70s, and they equipped that gym with nothing but Nautilus machines.
I would love
and
that.
Cybex. It was nothing but machines. I think they had a few dumbbells, but
That would be a dream.
They marketed themselves to that angle. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we have all the machines. It's so like that's, and I still love, like, if you look at some of the Cybex and Nautilus, and I mean, they're all great.
I'm thinking about one in the gym right now that is a Nautilus that is my
Yeah.
favorite chest press machine I have ever used. It's purple. That's how I reference it to some of my clients. It's the purple chest press
Yeah.
machine, so they know what to go to. But I remember the first time I was amazed at this machine. It moves freely. I am in love
Yeah.
with this Nautilus chest press machine. It reps and says it's so great. Machines are awesome, and it's not like, don't look at it as like, oh, dumbbells are better. Like, no, there's a
No.
lot of different reasons to do a lot of different things in the gym. And if you are comfortable with using machines, I mean,
So-
I love using machines.
There's 3 machines that come to my mind, and I only know one gym in Rome that's got the standing Dynabody chest press. You stand, and it's got the grips, neutral grip or wide grip.
Yep.
And there's different levels, but you just it's plate loaded, and you can stand up against and lean against a pad and just press, and you can choose
Yeah.
whatever handles you want, wide grip or neutral.
I remember
Parallel.
seeing that at Firehouse one time. I mean,
So,
I've never seen that before. Pretty
That's
cool.
one, and then one of my other favorites, the Rome Health Spa used to have a seated chest press machine, and you could like use a foot bar
Yeah.
to press it and help you get
Yes.
off your chest.
Yes.
So cool on that. Same thing, wide grip, neutral grip, parallel grip, whatever you want to call it. And then a third one, if I had to name one more, and as a matter of fact, I'm actually probably about to join Planet Fitness because they are leveling up in so many
They're
areas.
getting plate loaded stuff, dude.
So they just, a lot of them have already upgraded machines, but they're fixing to take out the 30-minute circuit weight room area and put free weights in there, like a bunch of power racks.
Yeah.
So Planet Fitness will have free weights.
Yes, and plate loaded.
by the end of the year.
Yes.
And they have one of my favorite seated bicep machines. You sit in it, it's unilateral.
Ooh,
So your
yes.
elbows go against a pad, right? And then each arm goes at a time. But not only that, the it's like a ball joint on the wrist.
Yeah, so it
it's
moves
free,
with your
free
wrist.
floating as you're going up, man. And
You're
it's
not
like,
limited.
right?
Oh,
and
that's
it's
so nice.
It's the most like targeted. It's nothing hits my biceps more than that machine. It's lovely.
I gotta admit, I do like Planet Fitness's machines,
Yeah.
especially their adductor and abductor machines are great. Love those. But they are getting some plate loaded and like free bar stuff. So
Speaking of that type of machine, I know we're getting off a little topic here, but it's okay. That's what we do. We just go with the flow, and these organic conversations are beautiful.
Yes.
So speaking of hip adductor and adduction machines, do you agree that some machines, and I don't know how, I think I know a way to work around this, but my gym doesn't have any rubber like pads. So like the machine doesn't allow you to go all the way in before it bottoms out.
Yeah. I
Like
see
you can
that.
get the stretch, but
Yeah.
about the time your legs are about to close, it stops.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it could just come on in a little bit more.
Yeah, I see that sometimes with some of those machines. Actually, I think Repson says I have a hard time. I don't do inner thigh on that machine,
Okay.
but I do outer. But I do hear people say that it doesn't quite close
Yeah,
all the
so
way.
you can purchase some pads.
That is so smart.
To put as a wedge.
Yeah.
To fill the
To
gap.
help the range. It's like I
range of
try to make
motion.
people taller or shorter
Right,
sometimes in the
yeah.
gym. That's just like that. Sweet.
Yeah, so cool.
That is a really good idea.
Yeah,
I'm going to
you
do
can-
this because we have the blocks,
Blocks.
yoga blocks at
There
the
you go.
gym.
You just put them, between your knees and the pad that you're using
Hey,
to.
love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That's a great idea.
Yep.
I do like that machine.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
We're-
so common mistakes. We talked about that. The overtraining, neglecting the basics. That's where we got into here. The basics work. Do the basics. I mean, and if it's a basic machine, great. Not be impatient. If you expect your newbie gains to last forever, I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. The best thing you can do in the gym is become more advanced, but those gains aren't going to last forever. And if your progress slows down, great. You shouldn't lose motivation for that because
No.
guess what? Congratulations. You are now an advanced lifter.
Yes.
And you can manipulate your diet and manipulate your programming and try to get more cohesive with it. And
Yeah.
then you can advance even farther.
Yeah, and that, I talked about nutrition earlier, but that goes for supplements too. Like, there's a few supplements that you can start sprinkling in.
Creatine.
You can add that from the get-go.
I agree.
So creatine's awesome. If I had to choose one supplement, it would be creatine monohydrate.
If there's one supplement I recommend across the board to every single client I have, it is creatine.
Yep, and just because the scale goes up a half a pound 2 days in, or you feel bloated, quote, like, it's not the creatine's fault.
If you're worried about that, I encourage you to weigh a couple times in one day and see what happens. Because
Yeah,
it's
hang
going to
in
be
there,
different
yeah.
every time. The scale is kind of crap anyway.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would be basing my progress off of the way my clothes fit me. Or the
Yeah.
awesome scanner we have over there at
Pictures,
Spartan.
measurements.
Pictures, same progress pictures in the same lighting and the same clothes.
Yes.
Even get you a pair of clothes, a pair of shorts that you want to get into
Yeah.
that maybe don't come all the way up. Then
Right.
go work out and try them on again in 2 months.
Yeah,
See what happens.
love it.
If you're consistent, like we said, that's the most
Yes.
important thing as a newbie.
Yep.
All right, so takeaways here. Normalize the shift from fast progress to slower, more intentional progress, which is great because that means, like, don't let this bring you down. This is a great place to be. Congratulations, here's your medal. You got through the newbie
Yeah.
stage. Let's get more intentional with it.
Yep.
Progress slows down for everybody. And I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. If you're somebody who looks at fitness as a linear path, a linear journey, you're going to be real disappointed because it is not that.
Yeah, and if you're expecting these grand wins, like just out of the park, like, victories every week or every month, and I hate to tell you, it's just not going to happen. At some point, the new's going to wear off.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find some way to just be patient, enjoy the process. And there's different ways to enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah, you just need to enjoy the gym and all that jazz. It takes time to become a master. Not that I'm a master, but it took me 10 years since I
Yeah.
got into and since I got into the gym to get on stage. So that it took me a decade to do that. So it takes a lot of time. Not that
Yeah.
it should take you that long,
No.
but for me, mastery took 10 years.
Yes,
So
lots of hours.
lots of time, lots of mistakes made, lots of things I learned along the way. I encourage you to stay curious, stay in pursuit of solutions, and stay consistent.
Yeah, and speaking of, maybe getting bored with something, yes, in the beginning you're gonna have all these cool changes, and at some point they're gonna slow down and stop. How do you stay motivated? Another little hack that I can recommend is kind of gamify it. So that's why I do love the fitness trackers. So for me, closing my rings every day is a way to gamify it and kind of keep me motivated.
Yes.
Another way you could do that with weightlifting is, record your workouts and gamify it. Look on your app, and if you see where your last chest day on dumbbell press, you used 60-pound dumbbells for 8 reps, try to get 9 this time. Be competitive with yourself.
If a newbie's using 60 pounds, I'm like, dang, you're doing real good, dude.
Yeah, or don't be scared to fail. You could grab the 70s and fail at the 6 rep mark and log that, and you compete with yourself with that number for a while. So use the technology we have these days. to gamify it and keep you motivated. Because I love data. The more data that I know, I can gamify it. It keeps me on track.
That's my favorite thing to do, especially with female clients, is,
Yeah.
they come in. Most of the time I see females more timid in the gym than males, but, just they'll be so timid with their weights. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm playing a game. Like, I'm going to see how much weight I can put on this until they cannot do it.
Right, yeah.
And they surprise themselves. I
Yeah.
had a girl make a 30-pound jump, and I was like, look at that. Like, you are so much stronger than you think. And who cares? Like,
Crazy, isn't it?
if you fell in the gym, good job. I mean,
Yeah,
great work. That's a good thing to celebrate. Now you know where to work, and you know that you have a goal to work toward to push that. You know what I mean?
There's a study they did, a research thing where they took men and women and put them in a weight room environment with dumbbells and said, just do your normal thing, your comfort level. And all the dumbbells were labeled like accurately.
Yeah.
Then they brought them back in the next week, and they had purposely like mislabeled the dumbbells. Like they had put 30 or 40 pounds on
Yeah, 20 pounds.
20-pound dumbbells or whatever.
Yeah.
And or no, they had put like 30 pounds on like some 40-pound dumbbells to make it look like they were
30s.
30s. So
But they were really 40s.
so they went through the same thing, and the people like did the same reps.
I'm telling you, that's so awesome.
Ain't that
that's
crazy?
Like, I love. That's what I'm challenged in the gym by the kilogram thing. So we have a
Right.
lot of kilogram plates. So I see that happen a lot too, where I'll load a little bit more on my powerlifter girls plates than I meant to, and I'm like, dang, I've underestimated her even a little bit here. So I mean, I can guarantee you're probably more strong than you think you are, especially if you grew up on a farm and you're down here where we're at. You're probably way stronger than you think you are. And I can assure you, like, if I get flattered when people come to me and ask for a spot,
Yeah.
So if you're worried about failing, just go grab
Yeah.
somebody. So everybody's gonna be happy to help you for a set or a rep or two or whatever. But you shouldn't be afraid of failing in the gym. I can guarantee you're not the first, and you're not gonna be the last.
No, and another person that comes to mind when you're talking about like just consistently like tracking and being in tune with the data and like progressing is Allie.
Oh gosh.
So
yes.
like, what I mean by that is is she like genetically kind of maybe stronger than some people? Maybe, but I don't think so. I mean, because I remember her just 4 years ago just being typical gym strength. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing special. But she has been really in tune with tracking workouts, and man, she's overhead pressing like 55-pound dumbbells for shoulder presses.
The girl
and
amazes me.
I don't see a lot of dudes doing that.
That girl amazes me.
So that's proof right there that if you're in tune with the numbers and you progress, you can build up some strength. And that a lot of times, if your nutrition's on point, it will build muscle, new muscle. So don't be scared to be a little bit more in tune with the numbers and compete with yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. I saw the most success when I started tracking my workouts and trying to go heavier each week. I don't rely on myself to know where I was at. I keep track of my workouts regularly, so it is very important to do that. That way you can. There's no guesswork, and you should always be trying to get stronger. So keeping the data very important.
Yeah. And then if you had to summarize like put together like a beginner program, I mean, what would that even look like, Katie? Or like we said earlier, it doesn't really matter. You just as long as you're in the gym doing something. But maybe the listeners want to hear something more structured. What would that be?
I would say if you can at least go 2 days a week,
Yeah.
3 days a week is
2 to
better.
2 to 3 days a
2 or
week,
3
I
days.
agree.
One of those days being an upper body day, and the other day being a lower body day. And if you just pick, I would say even just 5 exercises for both.
Yeah.
And you would see a lot of success that way. If you're going 3 days a week, I'd say, focus on chest and shoulders one day, focus on back and arms one day, focus on legs.
Yep.
But really, you could also go in there and just hit 2 full body workouts a week.
True.
So
Yeah.
just going in there and picking what you like as
Yeah.
the beginner. Pick what you like to do. Pick what you enjoy, because I can tell you if it's not something you like, you probably won't keep
Yeah.
going. But just pick a couple of things for each muscle group that you enjoy doing, and just do those for a while. Clean up your diet
Yeah.
a little bit, and then once you get to that advanced stage, then you can start honing in on the details of your program and your
Yeah.
nutrition.
And it doesn't necessarily take going to a gym to get the ball rolling. Like, you could work out at home with some dumbbells. That's a way too. I have a few clients that that are in the phase of doing that. They're just doing like a three day a week at home dumbbell workout with some floor presses and curls. You can get a good workout in with some
Yes.
dumbbells.
I mean, you could even use things that aren't necessarily dumbbells, like a laundry detergent bottle, or,
True.
it's going to be
Yeah.
hard to reference how
Yeah.
much strength you're gaining in that aspect. But I mean, there's a lot of resources at your house that you could use to do.
Yeah.
I mean, do a curl with a laundry bottle, a
There's
laundry
a
detergent bottle, something like that.
person that, I'm just getting to the age now where I don't buy into people's like mindset limitations. So like, for example, I had a person message me in regards to one of my emails I sent out, and she said that because she had told me she had lost a lot of weight, and I congratulated her on losing a lot of weight. I said, well, you're probably at a point now where you want to focus on building muscle, because I don't want her to fall in this I call it a pandemic we're seeing, where you have a shit ton of people losing a bunch of weight, but nobody's putting on any damn muscle.
And they're losing.
And the weight loss injections aren't helping.
They're losing everything.
So I think this is a whole nother subject, but I think in about another year or two we're going to see a massive and a whole nother issue of problems with, you got a bunch of skinny people with no muscle that's going to have a whole nother host of problems, because
Yes.
they've took these injections and didn't really focus on lifestyle changes and lifting. Anyways, back to my point. I digress. I said, yes, congratulations on losing the 70 pounds. You're probably at a point where you want to start putting on muscle now, right? And she wrote back and said, yes, but we're in a financial position right now where we had to let my gym membership go. And that's all she put. And I used to be like, I understand, but I don't get it. I mean, well, A, I don't know if she's running a Planet Fitness. That's $10 a month. Or B, there's a thing called dumbbells.
Yeah.
You can literally put together a at-home workout to at least be doing something.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote back and told her that. I said, don't underestimate the power of a at-home dumbbell workout only.
Yeah.
She could probably round up some dumbbells off Facebook Marketplace, probably find them for free.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Anything.
Yes.
So she hasn't responded to me. I guess she didn't like me. I guess she didn't like me shooting her straight.
Well, that's just the truth of the matter. If it's important
Yeah.
to you, you will find a way to do it. That's just the matter. A matter of fact. If you're somebody who wants something and you have a goal to achieve, then there are no excuses. Planet Fitness is $10 a month.
It's $10 a month, man.
There's plenty of resources out there. But if you really want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make it work.
The older I get, the less I have patience for excuses.
Yeah, me too.
Not only that, but just because I've surrounded myself with so many people that's getting it done.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They have so many, they would have so many good reasons to not to be doing it, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, sickness or handicap, like true injuries they're working around.
Yeah.
It's like I see people getting after it, and it's like it's just, I don't want to hear it, man.
I don't have time for somebody who doesn't want to see
Yeah.
success. Like, if you're not hungry for it and
Yeah.
you don't want to see change and you're going to slack, I rule you out at that point. I only work with people who are eager for success.
Yeah.
And if you're not that, I'm not judging you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time, I get it. There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
But I only have time for people who are ready to change their lives.
Yeah.
So if you're, not looking for these solutions
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah. No,
I feel bad, but I can't pity it. I really can't, because
Yeah.
if you really want to change, you'd make it happen.
I think me and you are some of the most like compassionate people in the world, understanding, but gosh, there's such a fine line between like understanding and like coddling somebody versus just shooting them straight and being like, man, if this was like important to you, we would figure it out.
And as a coach, it's important
Yeah.
for me to not coddle, to really teach you how to
Yep.
how to see success.
Well, good deal. And
A couple resources though, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are you still doing the level uppers? I see that every now and then. That's a good one, right?
yeah, Facebook group. We try to dump some good resources in there in the Facebook group called Level Uppers, and then of course follow me and Katie on Instagram. We're always posting good content.
Yeah, and
and
just coaching if you're
Yep,
interested in that.
for sure.
I do in-person stuff.
Yeah.
So come see me at the gym. I would
Yep.
love that.
Yep, and if you want to, schedule not only just a scan, but also like a sit-down consultation, like a little crash course, everything, nutrition, training, you get so much value in like 1 hour with Katie. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure to drop a link to that in the episode description.
I
along
love
with some other
that.
stuff.
I love those because we really, I tell everybody that I do the scans with, I'm like, you know, we can make this what you need it to be.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
tailored to
say
whatever they
you
need.
need a meal plan, we'll make one right there.
Right.
You need information on how to do that. You just don't know where to start. Here's a plethora of information for that. You need help with the workout. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. You know, so
It's
these
true.
scans are really great. A lot of value in just an hour.
You're
with
right.
me.
I used to call them like nutrition consultations.
Yeah.
And then like I got to a point where I'm like, well, they're not even really nutrition consultations. Not all of them are, because some people don't need help in that area.
It's hard because everybody's
So,
different.
yeah.
So that's where I got was this. I'm going to
just a-
tailor this to each person that
It's
comes
just
and sees me.
now I call it like a discovery consultation.
Yeah.
Where, you know, we talk about whatever you need help with. You
Yeah.
know, some guys literally use that whole hour just to pick my brain on supplements.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Or somebody
Or whatever,
you know,
yeah.
structuring their workouts. Most
Yeah.
of the time I have people come in and we create them a meal plan right there.
True.
And it's, I mean, it can be whatever you need it to be.
Yeah.
You just get to tap into mine and Keith's
Yeah.
brains for a little while.
Yeah.
So it's a really great place to start, or it's a great place to, you know, go
Yeah.
into that advanced stage in your journey.
Yeah, because, you know, I always tell guys there's a difference. You know, of course, if you message me or if you see me at this movie shop, I'm not going to be like, no, you got to schedule a consultation. There's a big difference between sitting down with somebody and having their full attention for an hour versus just in passing or at a smoothie counter for 2 minutes telling you about a creatine. Like,
Yeah.
you can learn a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, if we just sit down and peel some layers back and really, really dialed into whatever you need.
Yeah, messaging me
Yeah.
on Instagram is going to be a lot different than seeing me in person sitting
Yeah.
down with me. I can guarantee you.
Promise you that. Yeah, I'm sitting there trying to eat dinner and tell you about creatine. It's going to be short and sweet.
Yep, very short and sweet. Here's a link. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. But yeah, I mean, these are very valuable. So definitely, no matter where you're at in your journey, these could be
Yeah.
great for you. So definitely come see us at Spartan for a scan.
Yeah, and like always, tag us, screenshot this episode up until the end of the month. Anybody that tags us, screenshots us, leaves a comment on these episodes, or rates the podcast, you're going to be in the drawing for a $50 gift card. If you live locally, that'll be Spartan. If you don't, I'm going to send you like a Visa, MasterCard. So screenshot it, tag us in your stories,
Yeah.
rate the show, leave a comment, whatever you got to do to let me know that, you know, you listen to the show.
Yeah, like, comment, share. Just show us some love. If you get value out
Yep.
of these, we would really like that.
Yes. So I think that's going to wrap up this one, and me and her's going to start brainstorming on the next one, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Till next time.
See ya.